Everybody.
Are we here for this?
It's about me. You gotta find Alana.
Okay. Okay, there she is. Report comment, pin comment. Go live with Alana. Why is this freaking filter still on my head like that? All right, guys. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. It's about to go. It's about to go down. Hi, Alana. Hey, girl. Oh my God, what is that filter? You look crazy. Oh my God, I'm scared. You look insane. You have to change that. It's so
crazy.
scary.
Hold on. Let me
babe, come here. Look at her. She looks like, wait. Don't take it off yet, babe. Come look at her. She looks like Hellraiser.
Look. I look like MJ from Thriller.
Why, you look like you looked after that vacation when you came back with that tan and we started looking at you a little suspect.
I thought about
if
that
you know what I'm
I
saying.
I was cracking up. Okay, I'm about to put my Mariana Hewitt joint.
Can you find some good light? Alana, you're a great makeup artist. You know about the light, but what
okay, here I am.
Questionable. Okay, there you are. Everyone, the people, this is Alana Wright, the talented, the wicked smart, the noble, the wise, the woman who is behind the scenes in my ear every day. She's a historian. I call her the historian. She knows a little bit about everything. We have some of the best conversations in life, and actually what inspired, right?
That's true.
And she was a chemical engineer major at Howard University. So do not play around with Alana. She is a brainiac. She is incredibly smart, and she decided to pursue her passion of makeup artistry, and she is killing the game one beat at a time.
Thank you.
But this conversation came about because we were on a phone call that turned into, or a FaceTime that turned into also like a double FaceTime with my mom, who was on my other, Alana was on my laptop FaceTime, my mom was on my phone FaceTime, and we were just having a full on meta kiki. And then I was like, why don't we just like bring the people into this? Because this is just too good.
It was good. It was good.
And it was basically Alana dropping gems. So Alana, first of all, give us good light. Let us see your face because you are in the shadows right now.
This is me. Like this is the light that I'm working with at this juncture.
Oh, okay. I'm not gonna light shame you.
Don't light shame.
I'm not trying to light shame you, but you are still giving me a weird filter that's like.
That's your filter. Look.
And you said look. Okay, let's jump in. First of all, what do you think people need to know about you before we dive into this conversation? Bye. Nice to meet you.
What people need to know about me is that I am multi-dimensional.
Yes.
I'm multi-dimensional. I mean, I think that as a Black woman, you know, we're confined to so many boxes. Just in general, like, oh, you like makeup, so you're strictly, you know, oh, you focus on visual things and not really have no depth to you at all. And I would like people to know that, hey, I got all the depth, okay? And I'm always constantly learning. I love stimulating conversations with all kinds of people about all kinds of things. I'm extremely nosy. I love all the information. I just like having information just so I can have it, so I can be more knowledgeable about things before I speak on them. But but I mean, that's just all in jest. But I mean, it's just more than meets the eye in general when it comes to a makeup artist in this field. It's not just about makeup for me.
It's the brilliance for me, frankly, and it's the well, first of all, you're hiding in the corner. You're giving me this, and I'm confused. You're hiding in the comments. Come forth. Let the people see you.
I'm trying to stay close to my charger.
Okay. I'm so glad that you introduced yourself that way because that's a perfect segue into the conversation we were having offline about just kind of how I think we share a similar perspective on, you know, the role of beauty and fashion, and how, and also just the need for more diverse representation of different kinds of Black women. And
Yes.
you were talking, you know, and how, like, sometimes fashion and beauty and caring about fashion and beauty can be seen as discrediting one's intelligence,
Yep.
right? Or placing you in a certain, you know, economic, socioeconomic position, which means you are above or beyond caring about inequities. And actually, it's, fashion and beauty can sometimes be a platform to more effectively reach a broader audience about issues
Agreed.
that matter, around inequities, and that, and so, and but anyway, you were talking about specifically about how you feel like there's just two ends of the spectrum when it comes to representation of Black women. Talk about that. I thought that was fascinating.
Yeah, like I feel like I've always, me and my friends, we've always been people who we always say we're in between. We've always been in between, meaning, like, you know, the society can't assign us very specific categories because we encompass all kinds of things. We have, you know, layers to us like most humans do, but Black women aren't afforded that opportunity to be viewed in that light. It's just like, you know, you meet a Black woman, you got to assign them to something. They're matronly. And it comes from racism. It comes from white supremacy. So white supremacy at the end of the day, because when it comes to non-Black narratives, or when it comes to white narratives, you get all kinds of people. You know what I mean? You can have you can have countless documentaries about a white male serial killer and people still, you'll find an empathetic tone, like, oh, he was, you know, trying to identify as to how this person arrived to being this human being. But when it comes to a Black woman, it's just like, you see this person, you see how they present. Oh, they're the mammy archetype, for lack of a better explanation. Or they're the Jezebel.
You said specifically that there's two ends of the spectrum when it comes to Black female representation. Yeah, largely speaking, there's either like your
matronly or hypersexual.
There you go.
Know, either you're matronly or you're hypersexual. There can't be an in between. You know what I mean? And if you are in between, something's wrong with you. You know what I mean? You're the problem. And I was beginning to tell you about my experience just matriculating at HU. I was a chemical engineering major, graduate, Ford Motor Scholarship recipient, might I add.
Like flex. I love it. I live for it. I live for a collegiate flex. Continue.
But I loved my fashions. I loved my fashion. That Mac during undergrad, you know, I loved my fashions. I would come to class with my looks on because I just loved fashion. I loved beauty. I loved my makeup. And, you know, I was perceived as someone who did not study as hard, not as intelligent by my professors. You know, my professors perceived me as not being as smart or as intelligent.
How'd you know that?
It was just how they.
How was that?
I've been explicitly told that, and it was just how they treated me. And I don't want to seem like I was mistreated, but it's just something that I saw as having to go against and battle the entire time I was there. This perception of me that, oh, I don't look like I roll out of bed, so I must not be smart. You know what I mean? So being one of the biggest insults for me is calling me dumb or stupid or, you know, dim-witted in any kind of capacity, because that is how, if you look at me on the outside, you would think that I was a shallow person, you know? So that's because Black women aren't afforded the opportunity or to be seen as people with multiple layers. You don't have to be, if you love fashion and beauty, it doesn't mean that you can't address the world. And if you really want to break it down, in my personal opinion, just based on what I've learned and how I was raised, you know, fashion and beauty is still art. You know, at the end of the day, it's still a form of art. And in indigenous societies, art is a function of life. You can't have life without art. You can't function without art. You can't have a society without art. You know what I mean? But now that we're in this age, in the 21st century, we also have social media. Everyone is different people have different platforms. It's a lot more democratic now. So how we present doesn't mean that's all that there is to us as Black women. So people can have a bomb ass outfit on, beauty, hair, okay, and still address the needs of the people, can still address urgent issues that affect marginalized people around the globe. You can't say, oh, well, you have on such and such designer. You can't, there's other problems in the world. I know, I'm talking about them. It just so happens that I'm presenting as a polished, manicured person as I'm speaking about it. And it should not discredit my point of view as a human being. That's what I was saying.
Well, all of this this whole conversation started because, I mean, we were talking about a lot of different things. And we also want to talk about Meghan Markle as well while we're on this live. But one of the, Alana's been killing it. Alana and Angela have been killing it in terms of their on the top. But we know why we're there. We're there to elevate certain perspectives that are, you know, often missing from mainstream media conversations. And also, we came from the fashion world in some respects. I never really considered myself a fashion person. I feel like I was put in to disrupt it from the inside, but I still, we care about fashion and beauty. It's fun. It's for us. It's an art form. It's a part of self-expression. And so we have fun with it. It's also part of joy. It's part of our joy. And as Black women, it's important that we protect and preserve our joy. And if that is expressed through our fashion and our beauty choices, and if we have the platform through which to do that, and to celebrate the versatility of our beauty, then we absolutely should be taking advantage of that. What we never lose sight of why we are there and the conversations we are there to have. And you know, I told her, I was like, y'all are killing it. I was like, but you know what? There is something in me. I've been posting, you know, their work on Instagram on my grid and showing the full looks and how they come together and that kind of thing. And I said, you know, Lana, I feel a little bit weird. I feel like I need to like calm down with that a little bit, and just like, there's a lot of things going on in the world right now. I would never ever want anyone to look at my Instagram avatar expression of myself and think, oh, she's shallow or you know, obsessed with herself and wants to just post pictures of her cute outfits and her hair. Like, okay, I get it, you know. And also at a time like when people are struggling, people are losing their houses and their jobs, and you know, they got real tragedies knocking on their door, you know. And so sometimes it feels like, is this frivolous? Does this not feel good going down? And I want to be responsible always with my platform. And Alana was just like, well, what was your take on that?
I said lean in. I said lean all the way in, because that is, you know, resigning to the notion that one can't have any kind of duality. It's only binary thinking. And I just feel like we're not given the privilege to have non-binary thinking. You know, it has to be an either or every single time. It's like, you know, you have a Mugler suit on, you can't talk about health disparities. That doesn't make any sense. There's just no logic in that notion at all, because it's not a binary we're not in a binary world. So why are we trying to force ourselves to think that it's either or? And you speak on those things on a regular basis. We talk about people's hardships on an everyday basis. You deliberately shine a light on things that most people gloss over, you know, or they sensationalize without actually addressing this, you know, the root of the issue or the substance, you know, of said issue. And I just think that, why not? You know, why can't you do both? Why can't Black women do both? Why do I have to look like trash, or why do I have to dumb myself down or dim my light in order to make my point more poignant and more powerful? It doesn't make any sense.
She makes some good points. She makes some very valid points, and it is actually kind of alarming when you're someone like me who spent so much of your career trying to break down these false binaries that tell you you are only allowed to be smart or stylish, into fashion or politics,
Right.
you know, about activism or about having entertainment. I've spent my career trying to break down those false binaries, trying to create intersections where people can bring their full selves and be respected for all of their dimensions. And it's almost shocking when you still find those residual
Yeah.
free from the conditioning that we've all experienced, and it still comes up even in your 30s, even when you've accomplished a lot in terms of trying to break down some of these stereotypes and stuff, but you still creeps up. And let's be real, Alana and I, taking this job at the talk, have stepped fully out of our echo chamber into a whole new world. We are a whole nother level of not just trolls, but racist trolls, and the kinds of comments and the hate that we see on a regular basis experience is something I've never experienced. However, I think it's an important and valuable experience because it's given me a glimpse into a whole other country that, frankly, my echo chambers have preserved me from or separated me from. I think it's, but sometimes even the strongest woman, listen, we are strong Black women, but sometimes you second guess yourself and you do give credence to the trolls, and you start to think like, should I tone it down a little bit? And I'm uncomfortable with that we are just flexing with the fashion and the beauty and all that stuff. Like, are people getting distracted? Are they missing what we're really here to say? And so I'm just being honest and transparent about that. Like, I even had a conversation with Jonathan about it over the weekend, and I'm grateful to have real people in my life, like Alana, that and like Jonathan. Just, I don't want any yes people in my life. I want people who will always be. And I'm appreciative for Alana's perspective, because I think it's a valuable one for all of us who are History Month. I know I have a lot of Black people who follow me and allies alike. And I just think it's important that the allies understand this kind of thought processes that we're, and just the barriers that we're up against, sometimes the internalized ones, so that you could be better allies. And for Black women to be mindful, you needed that little pep talk that Alana just gave me. You know what I mean? I need to demonstrate what these conversations, sisterhood in action, actually look like.
Yep. Well, I'm also someone who is not a contrarian, but if someone actively tries to suppress any aspect of who I consider myself to be in my entirety, it just makes me want to amplify that. I amplify it even more. And that's always been my motivation throughout my entire life, actually. And I recently realized that about myself, is that anytime I meet any kind of resistance, I don't tone it down. I don't scale anything back, because the resistance to me is an indicator that I'm doing something right, and that's how it's always been. I've had engineering professors who acted like I was their employee, and it was just fascinating to me. It was upsetting, but it also just made me, okay, you really are misogynistic. You have an issue with an American woman who presents how I presented, holding you accountable as my professor, and instead of me backing down, I leaned in, and I got my dad involved too. It's always good to have some backup, but that's how it's always been. People perceiving me to be an idiot or dumb because I went from having a chemical engineering degree to following my passion with makeup artistry. You hear all kinds of naysayers, like, well, why don't you get a job? Or why don't, oh, you're still doing this? Are you still doing this little makeup thing? Like, it's always going to be those kind of things.
And it's from our own people. And it's often, we can't just talk about this in terms of like racism and sexism. A lot of it's in our own community. We have somebody on here right now who just commented nerd ass N-words with the A, and it's a Black person.
Oh yeah. But that I've been looking at that the entire time. It's actually hilarious, and that's just like whatever. Like those things don't bother me as much. It only bothers me when it's like when those kind of absurdities is presented as real information. That's an obvious troll. So it's just like water off a duck's back. You know what I mean? Like, see, it's just water off a duck's back. Like, who cares? Like, what? But someone tells me, oh, you don't know how to do this or you don't know how to do that. I make sure that I show up and give 200% every single time. Like every single time. I don't walk away saying, oh, I half-assed it. I've always, so I can't be disappointed in myself in that regard. You know, I always gave it my all, but I never allow anyone to put me in a box. It's just like, you can't. If the path that I took in life, going from, you know, science to art was not linear. And I knew that, you know, the feedback and naysayers and things would be, you know, I could throw a stone and find one along the way. That just never deterred me. It just made me strengthen who I am and just push forward. And I love glamour. Glamour is fun. Okay. I don't care. Look, we are not in medieval times or, you know, the dark age. Okay. Glamour's fun. Okay. It makes people feel good. I love makeup. Makeup is a form of art. So is doing black hair. If you can style black hair in 45 minutes, the way Elaine, shout out to Angela.
Shout out to Angela. She's a magician.
If you can style black hair effortlessly and flawlessly the way Angela does in 45 minutes, it's just like, that's an art. You know, it's an art. It's an actual skill. Something that is a fingerprint that most people can't duplicate, even if you had a step-by-step course. So no one can convince me otherwise. So it's just like, people can say what they want. Trolls online, like, if I find the time to debate, I will debate, because I also love doing that. I love debating.
She loves a debate, which is why my dream in life is to get Alana onto the top. We've got to bring her onto a segment. Like, if there's any day, I might just call out sick one day just so I could be like, put Alana on. She got stuff to say. She loves a debate. And there's no one I love to debate more. We actually have this thing at my house. It started back when we were doing Project Runway together. And we would have people over. Remember when we used to have people over? You know,
yes.
Remember those days? And we would watch the Project Runway episodes. And then whatever was happening in the world, this is pre the talk. This is how you know we were destined to be on a talk show. We would hold court, literal cultural court in the middle of my living room, where we would, like, for example, we talked about the Jussie Smollett case, and we literally had people testifying. They had to present evidence to the court. We had a jury. And this one was the prosecutor. She was pulling up evidence from Chicago Police Department's.
I was Johnny Cochran. I was prosecuting the police.
You were prosecuting the police. Yes. You were Team Jussie, and you were basically doing a counterclaim against the CPD.
Correct.
And our whole thing was, why are Black people jumping so quickly off of this Jussie Smollett bandwagon and siding with the CPD, who have never made a history of supporting Black people? In fact, it's quite the opposite.
Yes.
And so anyway, do we talk about that? Maybe just give him a little 5-second.
I said that was literally like when that Jussie Smollett news came out, literally like a couple months before that news came out about Chicago police having a Black site where they had people that no one knew about. They were just holding people against their will on these Black sites and no one even knew about. But I'm supposed to believe that no, absolutely not. So
this is what I said. You were the only other person that agreed with me on this. Everybody else was like, that don't sound right. Something sounds fishy. He was eating Subway at 2 a.m. when it was 1 degree in Chicago. I'm like, yeah, he was hungry. And he was sitting on the tarmac for 6 hours. His plane got delayed. He landed. There was nowhere else to eat. And it was across from his hotel. Yeah, he went to Subway. Crazier things happened.
Exactly.
And I'm sorry, but Charlottesville just happened. So why are we acting like this man getting attacked by white supremacists in the middle of Chicago is so outlandish? I'm sorry.
Okay. And Laquan McDonald, that was like fresh off Laquan McDonald. That was fresh off the news of their black site on the west side. Like, they just can't be trusted. I'm not ever going to believe any kind of machine over someone's claims of any kind of racially motivated attack. I'm sorry. I'm not going to blame the police first. That's just not how I'm wired.
I agree. And it's like, if we're going to fall on the sword for anybody, it's not going to be CPD. I'm not saying, I don't know. I wasn't there. But I'm not going to go on the record going against Jussie Smollett, a black gay man in America who claims, who risked his career to come forward and say something that happened to him. No, you know, if it all goes down, if there's a line in the sand, I'm on his side.
Exactly.
So, but anyway, and we digress. We love to have cultural court. We close we reopen the cold cases, and we go back in. And
we re-examine.
We re-examine, because a lot of times things they get the wrong verdict. They get thrown out. People move on to the next thing. They cancel the next person, and it's just like, you guys, we just canceled this person. That's a real life person, and they had a career and dreams that were valid, and we just threw him to the wolves, and he was one of our own. So anyway, but this is the kind of thing we do literally every morning in our dressing room. And listen, I'm gonna manifest this Emmy that we're gonna get.
Hello.
And when that Emmy comes, listen, Alana's gonna get her own for glam. But we're going to get our own. And I'm going to dedicate it to you and what happens in that, you, Angela, Natalie, what happens in our dressing room, because it informs so much of how I show up energetically, the spirit, the energy that I come with. You guys don't just hype me, but we have critical conversations that expand my horizons, that kind of sharpen whatever my perspective is. And I think it's so important to have that. Obviously it's unique. It's a unique circumstance that we're on a freaking talk show every day. Right. But we all need those kinds of people in our life who will, iron sharpens iron. Who are your iron, right? Who are the people in your life that are iron, that are sharpening you? And if you got a bunch of dull tools in your shed, it's time to clean house, bruh. And it's time to get some sharper tools up in your shed. And I'm so grateful for mine. So freaking grateful. So speaking of hot topics, cultural cases, should we talk about Meghan Markle? Because she's come up like 3 times on the show, or twice this week. And each time I haven't quite felt like I got to fully say what I wanted to say. And I feel like the things that we wanted to talk about in our dressing room, we haven't even fully explored those. So maybe we should do those with people. I wish we had a drink.
Let's do that. I know. I'm going to drink my imaginary drink.
I'm going to drink my imaginary tea. So, okay. As you guys know, we didn't talk about Meghan Markle. We're going to talk about Meghan Markle now. Sorry, I know we're going all over the place, but it is actually linear if you're following. It's just, anyway, we're taking the long way home. But here we are at Meghan Markle, who obviously is in the news because someone in the royal palace has fabricated this claim that she has bullied them years ago, and it's just now surfacing. These are unnamed sources with no facts. This has not been investigated. There's no specifics that have been relayed to the public. To me, this is not a story. How does this even pick up traction? How is this even getting coverage? There's no story here
at all. But you know, they have the firm has the media machine behind them where they're able to try to spin the narrative. But I feel like, especially since quarantine, since last year, the veil has been lifted in a lot of different ways, as far as like different media tactics that normally the masses fall for. Like, they take the bait normally, and they're able to shift the narrative on different things and distract the public from the actual issue. But I feel like since quarantine, since people have been at home, people had a lot of time to reflect and examine things a lot closer than, they normally do, they see how, I would hope they would see how obvious this is to counter or to get ahead of the interview that's coming out with Oprah. It's Sunday, right?
It's on Sunday, and I will be tuning in. I'm salivating. But I think,
yeah.
But I think that there's a level of analysis that I haven't seen happening, and that frankly we didn't fully get to explore on the show. That I will say, Cheryl cued it. She teed it up. She called it what it was. She said it's because this woman is Black, and it's because the woman, because we aren't. Well, let's just stick with the Black piece of this. And so many people will say, "Don't make this about race." We're not making it about race. If you extrapolate, this is one example of something that's happened to one woman, right? But if you talk to any Black woman who's in a high-powered position in any industry, you will find